Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the alarm controls, number KA108. This is an Ace Keyswitch, is what it is. So, what is an Ace Keyswitch? Well, first of all, the name Ace is synonymous with tubular style key blanks. That's a tubular key. I don't know a lot about tubular keys. I have an understanding of how they work. And it's actually an incredibly old concept. Like, the concept of how this works dates back to the mid-18th century, where you have cuts that are in the outside circumference of a key, and that will depress tumblers inside of the lock, allowing a shear line to be created so that you can operate the lock. It goes back to a man by the name of Brahma, Joseph Brahma. If you were to look up his lock, a chapter in the history of the evolution of lock, and it was actually the Egyptians 4,000 years ago. Nothing, Joseph Brahma. You know, that sort of development. So anyway, this is a key switch. Obviously, this is going to allow you to pass current and, you know, open the circuit or close the circuit is the bottom line. I don't have my voltmeter here. I've loaned it out to someone. Otherwise, I was going to check for continuity between there, you know, have an audible tone. But nonetheless, this is rated for 7 amps, 125 volts max, or 28 volts DC. 125 AC maximum volts, and maximum 7 amps at 28 volts DC. Supplied with 2 keys and screw terminals. The collar is already attached here when you remove the screws for the terminals to wire it. That bezel can easily be slid off, but that's what it looks like. Also a cylinder nut, so you're going to want to mechanically install it before you attach your wires. And then, of course, 2 original Ace tubular key blanks. Chicago is another name synonymous with tubular blanks as well. Let's switch to the screen view now and take a closer look at some supporting documentation. Here is the item that we are looking at here. KA108 Ace Keyswitch. Where are you going to use this? Well, anywhere. You know, it allows you to open a circuit to, you know, obviously hardware or some sort of operation that's working. It's a tubular key, which means that it's going to be a bit less typical to get copies made when it comes to a key switch. There's lots of key switches in the world, and alarm control certainly makes them. But a tubular key is going to be a little less common because you see tubular keys in vending machine applications, coin mechanisms in laundromats. So you might want an Ace key, or a tubular key, I should say, just because you're not walking into the local cobbler or, you know, mega home improvement store and getting one of these cut. They're not protected, they're not restricted or patented, so they can be duplicated. But you do need the key blank, number one, and then you need equipment for cutting a tubular key, which is not going to be in possession of common folks that can duplicate keys. So it's an on-off switch. So on is normally, I said normally closed and normally open. This, you know, you're either going to open the circuit, which means there's no power flowing through the terminals, or you'll close the circuit and then power will flow through. Now I have some images. Let's take a look. That's the box. That's what you get. A little closer. Oh, you know what? I was about to say, remind me, I want to give you the dimensional properties at the end of this video. I didn't tell you the length. The front of the key, and that's a nice picture because you can see the key pull position. You can pull it in either position because the nib that's on the key, and that's actually what it's called. This little guy here, I'll show you a closer look of it, can be pulled in either position. Then I have a much closer view, and that shows the tumblers. And I can't really say for sure if there's a direct correlation between Joseph Brahma and a tubular key, but the similarity is striking. Here's a great picture of a Brahma. Okay, it's basically the same concept, except there aren't pin tumblers. There are little sliders that slide down, and you've got in the length of the groove that's in the key shank. It's not the shank, but the perimeter of the key blank itself. Will depress these sliders down in order to get it to in order to create a shear line so that you can turn your unit. Spring, you know, it's the same. It's literally the same concept. Yeah, I don't see anything more specific on that lock. I happen to have a Brahma cylinder in my collection, and it works just like a tubular key. Okay, so back to the pictures. The terminal's on the back. Let's go to the next set of pictures that I have. Okay. The back side of the terminals. Side view. Your two keys. That's the nib. That's there. I think I have a closer photo as well. Here it is. That's your nib right here. And you can tell immediately you've got a deeper cut here. You've got a shallow cut here and a moderately deep, you know, a deeper cut here anyway. And that's what that looks like. So let's click on the cut sheet below this video and let's take a closer look at that supporting documentation. Not a lot to see here. It's just literally a cut sheet. But there's not a lot to this. Weighs about 0.21 pound, by the way. Also, there's a link below this video here to the manufacturer's page, where you can pull up not only all of the alarm controls products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the product catalog. And that will allow you to review architectural hardware from alarm controls. A comprehensive provider of low voltage access control hardware. Okay, magnetic locks, call stations. If you have some sort of an interlock or man trap scenario, obviously a keypad, actuators for automatic doors, annunciators for different zones, key switches, obviously. Switches on page 117. So let's get to the end of the catalog. Push button switches. I don't see our KA-108. Let's take a closer look. Here it is. So they're referencing it as the key switch for use in these wall plate scenarios. Okay. So it shows up about a dozen times in the catalog. Here is this would be a disc tumbler key switch. And then of course pin tumbler key switches here as well. Okay. So a pretty comprehensive offering of material from alarm controls. Let's get those dimensional properties and let's wrap up this video. Okay, as promised, let's take some dimensions from and I removed the screw so I can pull the bezel off. The overall length of the body before the terminals is about 1 5/8 inches. The overall length with the terminals is pushing 2 1/8. The length of the threaded portion itself is about 1 1/4 inches. Okay, so what's your maximum material thickness? Well, with the bezel and the threaded nut, I'm going to say it's probably about 7/8. Not that it really matters when you're installing it into one of your faceplates. But who knows what you're using it in. I have a lot of customers who are woodworkers, and they definitely install items in applications where the original engineers didn't think about it being installed in quite creative group of clients we have. That is an understatement. Yeah, so about 7/8 would be a max material thickness with both of those components attached. Okay. Alarm controls is nice to deal with, even though we don't do that much business with them, only because, you know, how many tubular style key switches do you sell compared to a 4.5 ball bearing security pin hinge? But it's nice dealing with a company, and Alarm Controls isn't the only one, but it's nice dealing with a company that focuses on a relatively petite footprint. Generally in these companies like Alarm Controls, you can call them up and get tech support lickety-split. None of us, I don't believe, most of us, I know I wasn't, born with a innate ability to understand low voltage. And being able to call the factory is just what you need. And I've spoken to them a handful of times, and they've been perfect every single time that I've called them. Any questions on the alarm controls, KA-108 Ace Keyswitch, or any other alarm controls product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.